Hello, Elaine Powell here, igniting you to your greatness. So today I thought I'd share with you my number one tip around conquering your fear of speaking, whether it's in a meeting, an event, a keynote, whatever it might be. Because I was with a client the other day and I shared this tip with her and she was like, wow, Elaine, it's so simple and yet so obvious. And I said, yes, it's like common sense. It's common, but not everybody has it. Yeah? What is it? Shall I roll the drums? Da-da-da-da. It is speaking is not about you. It's about you. What do I mean by that? Well, when you're standing in front of a group of people, whether it's sharing your story, your struggle, your expertise, there's you one, and there's maybe 10, 20, 100 people. They're the masses. They've come to learn something. It's actually about them. But when you look at fear, it's usually about yourself, because the dialogue will be, I can't do it. This is scary. What if I mess up? What if I'm boring? What if I forget what I'm going to say next? Does that resonate with you? Well, you'll see that the common denominator there is I. And I call that the me syndrome. You're focusing this way internally. And you're focusing on fears. And fears are things that you have projected about things that happen in the future, but they're not happening right now. And who knows, they may or may not happen in the future because it's the future. But the point is, you're looking this way instead of being out there with the audience. Because when you're out there with them, how can I really make a difference in their life? When you're out there, you just disappears. Your internal dialogue just melts away. So think of a scenario. One of my other clients was telling me about, she was in a park and she was talking to a friend and her son was kind of just by the water's edge. It wasn't very deep, but the ducks were swimming around. And she was speaking to her friend, and then the next thing she knows, she turns around and her son's kind of gone quite far out into the pond. And you never know, there might be a little drop at some point. She dropped everything she was doing and she dropped her bag and just jumped into the water to get him out. And I was like, well, what about your clothes? They would get wet, or your bag that you just left on the side. She was like, I didn't care about those things. It was just about my son at that moment. And I said, yes, because that's what it's about. It's about other people. It's about not thinking about, oh, I get my dress wet, or, oh, someone will run off in my bag. You don't think about that. And as a speaker, you're not meant to be concentrating on your internal dialogue, because sometimes, guys, it's not your friend. If the volume's turned up loud and it's saying those things to you, either turn the volume down or just say, thank you for sharing, and let that thought just pass by. Because remember, we have 60,000 thoughts a day, so they're going to come and they're going to go. Why stop and entertain a big conversation with a thought that's even not real, because you've just created it? So I want you to really put this into practice. And you can do this in just right now. Have a conversation with somebody. And when you have the conversation, just be really aware that when they're talking to you, most of the time we have got our own conversation going on about what they're saying. So we're having a conversation about the conversation, about what they're saying to us. Oh no, I don't agree about that. Well, maybe. Oh, you were brave. And when it's internal, so we're not saying it out loud. So what I want you to do is, when someone's speaking to you, really be outside yourself. Really just be in their world. And then you'll see that actually it's a nice quiet place inside. Another example of that might be is if you go to church. You know, if you go to church and do the praise and worship, you know, you've got all your problems going on and, you know, praising hallelujah, you know, to the Almighty. But then afterwards, you always feel a lot better. Why? Because you've been, you know, you've been focusing on something else other than yourself. And that's what you need to do when you're speaking. You need to be focusing on the audience. Now, it is a valid query. What if I forget my next line? Well, if you forget your last line or you make a mistake, just be authentic. Say, oh, where was I? Okay, yes. Ask yourself the question and then your brain will come up with an answer. Or just be authentic and say, oh, I forgot where I was going. Okay, next point. And don't make a big thing out of it. Because I always say the audience is a reflection of you. And however you react, they're going to feel the same thing. So if you make a mistake, laugh at yourself. Why? Because then you give permission for the audience to laugh as well and not make it a big thing. If you make it a big hoo-ha about it, then the audience will feel slightly uncomfortable as well because you are uncomfortable and they're a reflection of you. And I also think that speaking also is unconscious. I'm not aware of what, I haven't planned out, right, this is the next word I'm going to say to you guys, and then it's going to be this word, and then that word. I'm in flow with my dialogue, because speaking is unconscious. We don't think about what's the next word I'm going to say. And that's how you want to be when you're speaking to people on the stage. Yes, when I'm on a platform, I have my keywords, so I know where I'm going. But the rest of the time, I'm just letting it flow. Because when you let your language flow, I could come up with a really great quote and go, wow, yeah. Or I might say something humorous and go, that was good. Where did that come from? But that's because I'm just in flow. And when I'm in flow, I'm out there with you guys. I'm not inside myself. So I think you get the point. The most powerful word in speaking is you. So use that in your everyday life and really see that it does make a real difference to your communication. So sign up for my free training underneath. You've got the link underneath. Go to my website, elainepowell.com. But very importantly, guys, continue speaking, continue making a difference in the world, and always ignite your greatness. Until the next time, I'll see you soon. Bye.